Hello and welcome everybody and Happy New 2021. I would like to do a two-part video series here where I would like to share with you a recipe for success for 2021. The first part, this part, it is looking back at 2020 and sharing with you what we have learned and what caused us to have unbelievable, tremendous success in 2020. And that will become a foundation that will help us in 2021, and we will build on that in the next video with a specific prophetic insight that I received on January 1st, 2021 for this new year 2021. So hold tight and get a pen and paper and take some notes because this is, I believe, will really set you on the right track for 2021. All right, so in 2020, we've learned five key lessons. 5 key lessons. And I believe this was the recipe that granted us just incredible success in that which God has called us to do on personal level, but also on a national level in the nations that we've been serving. And I'm going to read through the 5 lessons just quickly at first, and then I'm going to take a little bit of time and dive into each one of those lessons to explain a little bit more about what do I mean by that. All right, lesson number 1 is hear and obey. Hear and obey. So many Christians, they want to hear God. Sometimes many of them actually do hear God, but they don't take action. They don't obey. So that was the first lesson. I'm going to dig deeper a little bit on that later. A second lesson is ask, seek, and knock. Ask and seek and knock. It's famous scripture. Many of you know it, but that turned out to be just an unbelievable key that we experienced just amazing, just miracles and breakthroughs in that dynamic. Lesson number 3 is family. Family and how this is God's design to walk together as family, not as a team, not as a ministry, not as a incorporation or a business or institution, but as family, and how that actually was so powerful and gave us so much authority. Lesson number 4 is hold your course in the storm. Hold your course in the storm. And finally, last but not least, lesson number 5, which is start right. Start right. Start on the right foot. There's some saying that goes start on the right foot. So that was the last lesson, and lesson number 5. All right. So now I'm going to take each one of those lessons and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, and so that you understand what I mean by those terms. Lesson number 1 is hear and obey. What happened is that, when we took what we heard from God, believing that we will have a breakthrough, and put action, we began to experience what we call the reality of God. Now, to take that action, we had to take risk. We had to actually really believe it was going to happen, to step out and take risk. So one of those examples is, we have been working with a couple of nations, Czech Republic, Slovak Republic, commonly called, often called the heart of Europe, and for a number of years now, and we're believing for God to change the atmosphere, God to break through and bring healing to the heart of these beautiful nations that have experienced some traumatic experience historically. And COVID hit. We had something, a very critical event, the 400-year anniversary of that event is called the White Mountain Battle, that marked the heart of the nation. And so COVID hit, and it's like so many things were canceled. But a year and a half before the anniversary, in November 2020, we came together, many leaders from across the nation, and we just began to seek God and discern together, what should we do? And the Lord told us to call the nation to gather together, to call His people to gather together, and to stand before God for the sake of the healing of the nation. And He gave us the name, the embrace, that we come to the embrace of our God and to embrace each other instead of the division and the hurt that happened in the past between different parts of God's family. And guess what? That was way before COVID. We didn't know COVID is going to hit or anything like that. And what happened was God told us that he'll hold the gathering, the embrace, in mid-September, which didn't make any sense at all. Because the anniversary is in November. Why would you, hold? It's like, let's say your marriage anniversary, you want to celebrate it, and why would you celebrate in mid-September, not in the actual anniversary day? But by faith, we decided we're gonna go for it, and lo and behold, that was that. If we would have not held it in mid-September, we could have not done anything in November, because the whole thing was like a Joel chapter 2 expression, or Antioch chapter, like the people of God gather in Antioch, like Acts chapter 13, an assembly of people coming together, linking their hearts, coming before God's heart as a father to embrace the nation again. And and so by faith, we had to take risk. We had to, even sometimes look foolish. Why would he do it in mid-September? It didn't make sense to the logical mind. But trusting God, he knew, and we could, the whole country, the restrictions of COVID and all that, we couldn't do meetings if we would have held it in November. So we began to experience, first and foremost, listen, hear, take time to seek God together, to discern together, and to put faith into action. Obedience is the doorway for a breakthrough. And to experience the reality of God, you must take risk. You must take risk. Like Peter, who stepped out of the boat to walk on water. And we have a saying, some families also have that saying, with the children, it's like, if you ask your son or daughter or your child to do something, and they just kind of like, pretend they didn't hear, and, delay, and, run around, all that. So we have this saying is, hear and obey instead of doubt and delay. Hear and obey instead of doubting and delaying. When God speaks, it's like gold currency. You can take it to the bank. And so we have experienced this incredible breakthrough because of taking risk, putting action into that which we heard, instead of just assuming to do things. And I can tell you something, there's a lot of people running around doing good, but it's not initiated by God. So take the time to listen and to hear together. And lesson number 2, ask, seek, and knock. Ask, seek, and knock. That's a very famous scripture, Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. Jesus said, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. Now, there's a problem in the translation of this verse. Actually, the actual original language, the Greek language, for this verse, it says, ask and keep on asking and you'll be given to you. Seek and keep on seeking and you shall find. Knock and keep on knocking and it will be opened to you. So here is what we've learned this last year in 2020 that gave us this incredible breakthrough and success in fulfilling that which God spoke to us, is this. Listen carefully. Add faith to your persistence, but add persistence to your faith. In Hebrews chapter 6, verses 10, 11, and 12, it's an incredible little passage. It says that God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. Our great desire, Paul here, or the author of the letter to the Hebrews, he said, our great desire is that you will keep on loving others as long as life lasts, and in order to make certain that what you hope for will actually come true. Then you will not become spiritually dull and indifferent. Some other versions translate this as lazy and or sluggish. Instead, that you will follow the example of those who have gone, of those who are going to inherit God's promises because of their faith and patience. Some other versions translate the word patience to also endurance. Add faith to your persistence, to your patience, to your endurance, and add endurance and persistence to your faith. And you will experience open doors. You will experience, you will just find things. It's like, you need something, whether finances or someone to help you do something, or someone with a special gift here and there. you will find it. And lastly, what happens in that when you experience God's provision, God's miraculous provision and favor in so many different ways, relationally, financially, in your calling, in your career, in your business and ministry, here's what you begins to happen to you. Here's how Jesus describes it in John chapter 16, verse 24. It says, "Until now you haven't asked anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and so that your joy will be complete." I mean, 2020 was just such an incredible year. In the midst of the chaos and the fear and the uncertainty, there was this amazing joy because we began to experience, how God is providing, as we took steps and by faith and persistence and patience to see, God coming true to His word for us. And that was so many people financial God providing supernaturally for them. Just new jobs, new contracts, just people donating, giving contributions, people helping each other, and just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And sometimes we had to rent things, and like a hall, and the expenses for the stage, the hall, everything. But everything was paid for. It's just really phenomenal what happened and how God comes through for us as we persist, but also believe. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself with what God has said. And that's why the first thing we started with is remember, hear and obey. Remember, the first thing is hear and obey. And so the second thing is to put faith and persistence to what we heard and ask Him. So lesson number 3 is all about family. Family, we discovered that it was actually God's design for exercising power and authority, to experience the power of God, the power of and the authority that God gives us. The best way and the God-established way is walking together as family. Again, not as a team, not as an organization or a business or an institution or a nonprofit. No, as family. There is a reason why Jesus, when the disciples asked Him, teach us how to pray. So Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 9, it says, this is how you pray. When you pray, say this. Pray like this: Our Father who's in heaven. Our Father. Not my father, not your father, not his father, not their father. It's our Father. That word "our," it puts us all in one family as His children, sons and daughters together. And when we internalize that reality and together come to Him as His children and begin to seek Him, He speaks. And when we put obedience and action and take risk by faith and be patient, persistent to that which He spoke to us collaboratively, collectively, we experience unbelievable success and breakthrough. Not to mention, the African proverb which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. What does that mean? You want fruit that lasts? You want an impact that truly changes people's lives and nations? Go together. There's only so much impact you can do alone. In Deuteronomy, there's a verse that says, if God abandons some people, one can put 1,000 to flight, 10,000, and 2 to 10,000 to flight. What does it mean? It means that we as God's people, if we encountering some opposition or some resistance, or just imagine, if you can have an amazing breakthrough. One puts 1,000 to flight, but imagine look at this. One puts 1,000 to flight, but 2, 10,000. Wow, that's what's called like a exponential. I can't even say the word exponential growth. The hockey stick growth, and just unprecedented growth. You can't just accomplish that growth on your own, solo. It does not work solo to have unprecedented success and growth in God. You gotta walk together. We gotta walk together. And again, this is family. What makes family is that we care for each other regardless of whether or not you're performing. That's what makes family special. And nobody can make you can unson you to kick you out of the family. Nobody can undaughter you. Nobody can unchild you. We're born again into God's family, into the Heavenly Father's family. Nobody can say you're outside. And on top of that, we've become a new creation. And when all these things come together, and realizing the reality also that we prophesy in part and we see in part, but together we see more. And Paul the Apostle said that in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 9 to 12. Read it. That it actually shows us even the power when we come together. Everybody brings his piece, and suddenly we see a bigger picture. And in that there is security, there's more security, there's more confidence, there is more assurance that we're together. We have more and more the fullness of the mind of God as we walk together. All right, so lesson number 4: hold your course in the storm. Hold your course in the storm. You know what? We will have opposition. You will have opposition. If you're doing anything of significance, you will always have critical people, fault-finding people, people that just don't want you to be around, people that have something against you, or just try to even come up and disqualify you, attack your authority, attack your anointing, or just full out try to take you out. You would always have that. Just don't worry about these people. Don't change your course. Stay on the course that God has given you. Have faith and let God establish you, and let God protect your reputation or not. It's in God's hands. You keep your track and keep your eyes on Him, and don't worry about what the opposition is doing or not doing. Don't put your eyes on the opposition and those who come up against you. God will show. And God says, there is a verse that says, vengeance belongs to God. Maybe people hurt you. Maybe people said wrong things about you, slandered you, betrayed you, stabbed you in the back. Let God establish you. Let God establish your reputation. I mean, sometimes there are trials where it's seems like God is not doing anything to protect you, but in His time, He will make everything beautiful. So trust in Him. Hold your course. Don't quit. Don't try to, defend yourself here and there and do this and do that, to protect yourself, to protect your reputation. It says even that, when He was reviled, He did not retaliate. Let go of offense, forgive and forget and move on. And let God take your reputation as His assignment to protect. And then only no one can stand against you. So there is a time where you just need to hold your course, put your eyes on the prize, look to God, and ignore what's happening around you and all the, whatever, the slander and the gossip and backstab. Just keep your eyes on Him. And there's a beautiful, scripture in Isaiah chapter 52 that says, look, my servant will succeed. He will be elevated and lifted high, and he will be greatly exalted. And this is what happens to God's servants, and who they allow God to defend them, to protect them, to establish them. And your job is to keep on His track, to keep on His assignment, and to keep your eyes on Him. And He is more than able to protect you, to establish you, to anoint you, and to help bring breakthrough to you and establish you and give you all the resources and all that you need. Lesson number 5, last lesson. The right start sets everything right. Here's what I mean. It's like the right note. Start with the right note. I know musicians and songwriters and singers, and sometimes as we sing a song, I start low or I start high, or they start high, and they're like, whoa, hold on a second, we can't sing it this way. It's too low. You can't sing the song too low like this. So pay attention to the start of things. How you start is very, very critical. And we are in the start of 2021. So this is very critical for you. Don't be in a rush. Yes, the year is already kind of gonna roll hot and all this. But, take the time and make sure you start right. Don't get into under some sort of a self-imposed pressure or outside imposed pressure. Take some time. Let me tell you something. In 2020, January 1st at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened by the angel of the Lord standing beside my bed, singing out loud Psalm 103. And some of you know that psalm by heart. Is one of the most beautiful psalms ever written. There's even songs about it. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that's within me. Bless his holy name. Forget not his benefits, who redeems your soul, and so on and so on and so on. If you don't know the psalm, I really highly encourage you to go and read it and memorize it. And that angel, the angel of the Lord, woke me up 5 o'clock in the morning. I hardly slept because we went to bed late after New Year's Eve. And it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, January 1st. It's like God didn't waste any time. It's like, I want to tell you something to start 2020 on the right foot, to start 2020 on the right note. And the note was, bless the Lord, all my soul, and all that's within me. Bless his holy name. What is that doing? That's putting my focus on God. Forget not his benefits. And then the psalmist start recounting the benefits, who secures you, who redeems you, who heals you, who provides for you, and all these benefits. It's an incredible psalm. What does it do? What you focus on, you empower. Where your focus goes, energy flows. God is basically saying, like what he told to Joshua centuries ago. In Joshua, put these words in front of you day and night, meditate on it. What is God saying? Be careful what you focus on. In 2020, it was so important. So we started in January and February. We spoke this message so many times. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Bless the Lord, and all that's within me, my emotions, my body, my feelings, my thoughts, my spirit, everything, my resources. Let's bless the Lord. So COVID hits. Guess what? We bless the Lord, and it didn't faze us. And all the people, we did something called the Peace Challenge, helping people enter into Psalm 103. To bless the Lord, to focus on God, and verbally, mentally, emotionally, bodily, worshiping him, and that set people on the right track. So COVID hit, we remained in peace. Why is it so important to remain in peace? Because peace is the potting soil for revelation. You need revelation. You need to understand what's going on in the world to stay in peace. To stay in peace. So when you focus on God, this is the energy you get back. You get peace. You get joy. You get confidence. You get comfort. You get stability. You get security. You get safety. If you focus on all the problems and the insecurity, and it's just like insecurity, you can even feel fear and intimidation and panic in the air when COVID hits, and across the nations of the world. But if your eyes are on the Lord, if your heart, if your mouth blessing the Lord, if you have developed the habit to stay focused on him and his blessings and his benefits, and that's how you started the year, no matter what hits you, and now you continue. See, if you start with the right note, you'll be able to continue, even as the note changes here and this, but you always come back to the right note, to the right frequency in the spirit. And that dictates everything. Now, you see, I believe that the greatest virus that hit humanity last year in 2020 was not really COVID. COVID, you could say, yes, it hit the physical bodies of humanity, those who had this infection, the COVID virus. But the greatest virus that hit the spirits and the hearts of mankind was fear, was panic. And guess what happens is that when we get afraid, when we panic, your body literally, you lose the immune system, it just goes down. But if you're joyful, if you're peaceful, if you're happy, if you're, staying encouraged, this, your body, even the immune system is up. It fights things easily. So learn how to start right. Started with the right note, start with the right step, start with the right frequency, and it sets everything else that comes after it on the right path. So pay attention to this beginning, and let me recap with you. And this is, I believe, the recipe for success for 2021. And this part one video, I'm focusing on the lessons learned from the past year, from 2020, that I believe will compose, or will be like a foundation upon which we build. In the next video, I'm going to share with you, I had encounters with 3 angels on January 1st, and they gave me specific instructions, and I'm going to share that with you in the next video. So make sure you hit, well, it will be when it's released in a couple of days or something. So make sure you wait for that. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and so that you get notification when I release the next video. But let me just recap quickly for you 5 lessons that will lay a foundation for success, and we're going to build on those 5 lessons, or 5 stones of foundations for 2021 in the next video. First lesson, hear and obey. Second lesson, ask, seek, and knock. Add faith to your persistence. Add persistence to your faith. Third lesson, walk as family. Remember, family is the highest authority that you can walk in on earth together. The power of togetherness. You can get far. You can exercise more authority and more confidence, more clarity as we walk together. Lesson number 4 is hold your course in the storm. Let God establish you. Let God protect you, all that concerns your reputation, your everything that belongs, your work, your business, and so on. And remember one thing that may be an encouragement for you: the greater the size of the opposition is, the greater the cause, or the vision, or the mission, or the work that you're called to do. And lesson number 5, last but not least, start right. Start with the right note. Remember, when you start right, it kind of sets everything. It makes like this beautiful domino effect, that everything, that the whole journey on the right frequency, on the right note, it makes a lot of things a lot easier for you. So if trouble hits, or whatever hits comes your way, that you're still established, because you're resonating in a frequency that is not unshakable, that is not easily taken out. So stay tuned until the next video, and I hope this really helps you, and feel free to share it.